Okay, we are streaming to YouTube. Let me get record going and we will be okay. I will call the December 9th, 2020 public hearing to order for chapter 140 of the zoning code. We will do the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
of the United States of America,
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I have to just get a few more people in the room here. Okay. Kate, will you do the roll call, please?
Councilwoman Anawen,
Here.
Councilman Hagen DePew,
Here.
Councilman Hewitt,
Here.
Councilman Paddock,
Here.
Supervisor Baden.
Here. Okay, the purpose of this public hearing is pursuant to town law. The town board of the town of Rochester is holding a public hearing on local law number 5 of 2020. This is amending chapter 140 of the zoning code to add a new subsection regarding short-term transient rentals. I will just want to also read this statement. I've confirmed with the town's council that tonight's public hearing has been convened in accordance with the governor's March 13, 2020 executive order 202.1 and successors section regarding short-term transient rentals. I have to mute everybody here. Which suspends certain provisions of the open meetings law to allow municipal board to convene a public hearing via video conferencing. In accordance with the executive order, the public has been provided with the ability to view tonight's public hearing via YouTube, and a transcript will be provided at a later date. The town clerk has completed a roll call of the board members, and there is a quorum present for this meeting. I've also confirmed with the town clerk that this meeting has been duly noticed. Municipal board to convene a public hearing via. We have fulfilled our legal notice requirements by posting notice on the town clerk bulletin board and outside. Posting legal notice in the Shangham Journal and posting notice on the town website. For the public, I'm asking if you would please keep yourselves muted for the time being until we'll unmute you when it comes time to speak. This is so if you're watching the YouTube, there is a delay involved with the YouTube. So otherwise we have an echo effect. Okay, we have received a few written comments that we will read into the record after we hear the public comments. We have received comments from the Town of Rochester Planning Board, from the Ulster County Planning Board. Both of those were required that we refer these to them for comment. We've also received written comments from Deborah Medenbach, from Alana Blum, and from Martha Erskine. So we will start with the first caller, that is Rick Jones. So Mr. Jones, you can speak if you can unmute by hitting *6 on your phone. Okay.
Can you hear me, Mike?
Muted.
Can you hear me, Mike?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Hi, everybody. This is Rick Jones speaking. So I just wanted to be here to support the proposed local law regarding the short-term rentals. I think it's necessary to have some rules of the road with regard to these rentals. The law as proposed clearly is an effort to fill in a gap that currently exists. I say a gap that exists because I'm sure many are already aware of the many regulations in place within the town of Rochester for hotels, motels, bed and breakfast, and other forms of short-term rental arrangements. Missing from that list of a modicum of regulations is the short-term rentals, better known as Airbnbs. So I think the new set of guidances that have been proposed is just a continuation of the good notion of providing safety guidance for other forms of rentals, as well as some obvious guidance as to how short-term renters need to conduct themselves with regard to the neighborhood in which they situate themselves. I think that these meager provisions are not anywhere near as rigid as those necessary for bed and breakfast or hotels and motels, and I think that's appropriate. And in some cases, some of these regulations or suggestions are seemingly obvious, but sometimes the obvious needs to be memorialized. And I think this is what the town board has done in this new section or addition to the town law. First of all, Airbnbs do need an application of safety regulations to ensure that whoever's renting the unit is protected from any events that may happen, particularly fire, for the presence or the regulation around fire extinguishers and providing exit signs in the case of fire is extremely important. Leaving the safety regulations up to the owner of each property is always a hoped for approach, but not everyone is interested in making sure that safety regulations are in place, nor are the owners even aware of what those safety measures should be. In addition, I believe this new subsection makes sure that the neighbors around the rental are not disenfranchised from enjoying the peace and quiet of their own home. The Airbnbs, of course, are rented day after day, week after week, in certain times of the year, and so the need for a modicum of regulations to ensure that the appropriate behaviors are provided for and suggested, I think is important. These guiding principles, I don't believe in any way violate the rights of the owner of the property. It's just placing in its proper context some rules of the road that again are obvious and behaviors that I think should be suggested as well as regulated. Again, some of these are obvious, but sometimes the obvious doesn't win the day, and thus the need for some sort of guidance or regulation. So I support strongly this new set of, or this subsection regarding the short-term rentals. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jones. The next caller we have is ending in 6853. I believe that was Michael Coleman. I've unmuted you. If you can hit *6. Okay.
Yeah, Mike and everyone else. No major comments from me, although I will say I support the proposed changes. And I think that's it.
Okay, thank you very much. It sounds like your dog agrees in the background as well.
He concurs.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mute you. Thank you. Next, we have Claire Wasser. Was the next person to sign on. Claire, you came on by video, so you can unmute yourself, please. Yep.
I'm
Great.
not here to make any comment. I'm just here to just
Observe.
observe. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for being here. I'm going to go ahead and mute you. The next person that logged on was Deborah Medenbach. I don't see her on anymore. She either lost her connection or signed off. The next is 1869, that I believe is Eric Hertz. *6 to unmute yourself, please. Okay,
I just have very short, two comments, very short. One, these regulations seem fine to me. I haven't gone through them all, but from what I've read, or very carefully, but from what I've read, they seem fine. But I just wanted the board to be aware that this is a very self-regulating industry. I have another business, and it doesn't rely, it also gets reviews, but it doesn't rely on reviews like this. The short-term rentals, at least Airbnb and VRBO that we've been using for 2 years, you almost have to be a prostitute. I mean, you better give good service. They better not see a mouse in your house or an ant or a spider, because they'll put that in the review and they'll say, we saw mice, and then no one's going to rent your house. And that's what we found anyway. And that hasn't happened to us, but people have said, I'm not going to put this in. I'm not going to put a review in about the mouse I saw, but you definitely don't want mice in your house. They're not, it means the house seems like it's not clean, etc. So I just wanted the board to be aware that it's brutal. The reviews are brutal and very hard to fake a review. My other industry, which is the adventure travel business, a lot of the outfitters fake reviews. They get people to write reviews. They don't have to really go on a trip. Some people write reviews about other people to hurt them. You pretty much can't do that here. It would be real fraud. And the person has to stay with you, and they pay Airbnb or VOB. The payment has to go through them. There's $1 million liability insurance that comes with it, which is great. But it's very hard to get the fake reviews. So those reviews, people really take them seriously. So I want to say that. The other thing is about the septic fields. I think it's important for the board also to know that if you've got we're not all the same with the Airbnb. Some of us mainly do it in the summer. Some of us do it for a week straight. But the amount of people using the septic, it's not like we're a family of 6 that's on the septic all year round. It's a week here, then 3 days not, and then very little in the fall. That's just for us. So I don't think, just because once in a while you end up with 8 people in a house, which is what's happened to us once in a while, it's only for a week. And often we have 2 people in the house for the week or 2 weeks. So I just wanted those 2 things said. That's all.
okay, thank you very much. I'll go ahead and mute you. The next person I have is listed as Nancy's iPhone. If you hit *6 on your phone, you should be able to unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi. Well, I'm been doing Airbnb for 4 years, and I'm a super host. And
Can I stop you for 1 minute? Would you mind just stating your name for us? You're not required to, but if you don't mind, it makes it easier for us.
my name is Nancy Ostrovsky,
Okay, thank you.
and I've been doing Airbnb for 4 years, and I have unusual structures. And so my concern is I've gutted 2 Airstreams, and I have a timber frame. So they are outdoor structures. Because of COVID, I bought a porta potty. I have cooking facilities outside. I have a sink outside, and I have 5-star reviews. And especially this last year with COVID, it's been a real healing place. I also put a booklet in each Airbnb, and I make a list of all the local places to go. And people thank me for that. And they go and they buy food from certain areas, and they visit all the local artists. So my question is, which I don't understand because I'm not a lawyer, I'm an artist, and figured out a way to make really beautiful spaces that people like. So I don't understand that one section about outdoor, just something that looks a little different. I grew up all over the world, and when you define things like this is a bedroom or a certain kind of space, I think that has to be defined properly. And I understand certain regulations. I have fire extinguishers. I have things to come out. There's a lot of space. So I think, how this is being pushed is, I don't know who's not doing a good job. And I think what the last the last speaker, it's like you are scrutinized. You cannot get away with Airbnb and not be on a high level to take care of things. So it is a lot of work, and you have to be very attentive. And it's been a wonderful experience for me. And also I'm an artist, so, selling paintings, especially the last year, people can't come in my house. There's no, it's been a wonderful form. So anyway, I just am curious about some of the details, and the language is a little too boxed for possibilities. And I think the town, and why I want to live here, is because we are open, and there are all kinds of creative people who think out of the box. And I hope that this town can do that. So that's
Okay.
all I want to say.
Thank you for your comments, and we will absolutely take that into consideration. It's comments like this are exactly why we're holding this hearing. So
Thank you very much.
we appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay, the next person I have is listed as Martha. You can hit *6 to unmute yourself, please.
Hi, I actually am the Martha who sent in written comments, so
Okay,
I'm here to observe the meeting. So I'll wait till you.
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you very much. The next caller I have is, the phone number is ending in 7433. It is 389-7433. If you can unmute yourself, *6.
I think that might be the guy who said he didn't know what his phone number was.
No, that was the 1869. Okay, we will move to the person whose phone number ends in 2926. It is 917-952-2926. If you can hit *6 to unmute yourself, please.
Hi there. I'm just listening in. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you very much for being here. And then the last caller I have is 845-521-2052. If you would like to speak.
What happened to 389-7466?
I have 389-7433 showing, but we can.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right.
Yep, you can go. You go ahead and speak then, and I apologize. The 2052 will come back to you. Okay, the 7433. Please go ahead.
Right. My name is Susan Philiber. And we just have we'll put our comments in writing, but just a few questions about details. By and large, we find this to be something we can live with, but just these questions. First, what is the schedule in which this will be enacted? I mean, it's December. It's going to take months for the code enforcement guy to visit all these places, holding up our permits. So, you know, if you're going to put us out of business for a long time, that's serious. And so I would like this to be accompanied by some kind of time schedule that recognizes that reality.
Okay.
I'm also interested in whether you've already drafted applications, and if so, where they're available so we can look at those. I think there's a lot of information here about what we're expected to do, which is all fine and terrific. Just a couple of other things. I agree with the previous caller that our septic system at our Airbnb is under much less stress than it was when it was our office and then when it was fully occupied by a family of 6. And so we think 3 years might be for pumping the whole thing may or may not be necessary. The other question we have is application review, which does not set a time frame for the code enforcement officer to approve an application. It's just open-ended. And that's a little worrisome. I mean, we make an application. Shouldn't the code enforcement officer have X amount of time to say whatever he's going to say? That's J section here, where there is no time limit. And he could potentially hold it up indefinitely the way it's written now. And so I think those are the main concerns. I'd love to see the application form if it's available. And if it's not, it would be important for you to specify a schedule for when it will be available and so on. It's December. So we obviously cannot get this going by this January 1. So you need a plan for phasing this in. Otherwise, other than the sort of, I don't think all of that signage posted in windows and on front doors is going to be very attractive, but we'll do it.
Okay. Do you have any other comments? If not, thank you very much. And you make some very good points. We appreciate it. Okay. So my apologies. We're going to go back to the caller on the 2052 number. I will unmute you, *6.
Hello?
Hello, yes.
Hi, this is Tina Russell.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
we can.
All right, awesome. Fantastic. So I just want to echo, I don't remember what the gentleman's name was, but talking about self-regulating industry and the $1 million liability. And I just want to touch base on that. The liability that Airbnb gives its hosts is not just for whether or not you're renting out your house or a New York State regulated structure that's like coded for being built as a residential home. There's lots of people in our area that have what's called tenter tents. And if you drive around Accord, Town of Rochester, you will see them. And they're high-end structures that they actually rent from, I think the company is named Tenter. And they have wood stoves in them, and they're regulated, and they have their own regulations, and they have their own insurance. And only people with certain types of property are allowed to have those tents. I've never stayed in one, but I've seen pictures. They're gorgeous. There's also quite a few people in our area that rent out RVs or tree houses or tiny houses. And we're disenfranchising all of these people from our own community by telling them, you know what, your neighbors that can afford to build cabins, they can be Airbnb hosts, but you cannot. It's kind of sounding like what Nancy was trying to express, I believe. What Airbnb brings to our community, I think absolutely every Airbnb host should definitely be giving money to the town and money to Ulster County. I firmly believe in that. Maybe there's something you could do for people that are using RVs or tiny houses and the tenter sites and things like that. Or one guy I think has a boat, and the regulations that are being called for now are actually disenfranchising all those people. So maybe there could be a special tax or special allotments for those people, and that goes directly to our town. I don't know if you're talking. Hello?
Nope, nope, I'm listening. We're
Oh,
listening.
all right. On top of the potential for revenue, not only for Ulster County government, but for our local, there's extra income. Just like Nancy was saying, the gentleman before, Airbnb hosts send all their guests to local areas. They send them to Kelder's Farm. They send them to Arrowwood. They send them to Stone Ridge Orchard. They send them to all the local people. I know Bucky's down the road from me, that food court truck, he did fantastic this summer because of Airbnb hosts sending people to him. We're talking about our own people making money, you know. Then we have people that give Airbnb experiences. We have somebody in our town who you go and pet her goats and she gets paid for that. I mean, and these are people that are then spending money in our town. So if you take away the ability for all walks of life of people in all types of hosting event venues, you're taking away potential income to our town and to the people of our town. That's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you for your comment. The next, let me just check here. Brianna, do you have
Do I
anybody?
hang up now?
Yes, you may. Thank you very
All
much.
right.
Brianna,
How do I,
No one
oh,
here.
you're shaking your head no. Okay. So the next caller is the phone number 845-554-8845. Uh, 845-554-8845. If you can unmute. Okay, there we go.
Hi, can you call me? Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, this is Dave Roberts from on Scenic Road in Accord. I'm just calling to say that I'm in favour of the regulations. I see them as a way of protecting our community assets and environmental amenity, or things that we enjoy in our region and that people come here to enjoy. I just wanted to make a couple of comments, and that is that, there's been discussion about the self-regulation aspect of Airbnb, but of course the regulations are covering more than just properties that are rented through Airbnb. And so I think that, that's an important thing to remember, that we can't rely on the efficiency of the actual Airbnb platform to protect our region and interests. I think I've read the regulations. I think they need to address the tiny house issue. They kind of, they say that people can't stay in tiny houses, but and under that umbrella, I also include, RVs and so on that other people have discussed. And I think that's a very real rental opportunity in this area. And if it's not covered in the regulations, people are going to rent those properties and they just will go under the radar. There's also a comment about the septic system, and the kind of part-time use of some of these properties. But I think it's very important to maintain really stringent guidelines with regard to septic systems and providing water, as this the correct functioning of septic systems is a way of protecting our very important water resources. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. And the last caller I have is the person ending in 0183. The phone number is 646-248-0183. If you would hit *6 to unmute, please.
Hello. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi. Well, I have a question, a few comments. I think that other people already have talked about it, but still I would like to go over. The first is in the regulation, when they go in practice, it says you won't be able to operate until you get the permit. I guess the inspections in itself are going to take some time. So it's going to be a period of transition while the people is able to keep operating until all the inspection and the permits are given. The other question comment is about all the people I say about the septic. I found it a little bit strange since a full-time resident probably use the septic more than somebody who is partially renting the house. So if this regulation are for all the houses around, it makes sense. Like also the safety, the fire safety should be for everybody, not partially for short rentals. And the other comment is not my case, but yeah, I am a little bit confused about the area about tents or tiny houses or these kind of structures. It's not very clear to me why is that restriction to the people who is putting the effort in that kind of in that direction. The rentals actually is quite interesting in many aspects. Also in the aspect is you are trying to avoid the subdivision of land, for example. This kind of business allow the people to keep the land not subdivided, to develop in a different way. It's more sustainable in some way. So it's not very clear for me what is that restriction in those situations, even if it's not my case. So, well, that's it, my comments and questions.
Okay, would you mind giving us your name, sir?
My name is Rodrigo.
Okay, thank you very much.
To you, bye.
And excuse me, we've had another caller, 917-968-6853. If you would hit *6, please, on your phone, you can speak. This is 917. Yep,
just Michael rejoining. I got disconnected.
Oh,
no
okay.
comment.
I'm sorry. I thought the number looked familiar. Okay, that is all of our speakers. Thank you very much for your time this evening. I would just like
Michael.
Yes.
Michael, could you tell us something about the schedule for ratifying this? Do we have time to get in written comments? What is the proposed schedule on this?
The board will be discussing that very topic in just a few moments. Okay. I can tell you the plan is to hold the public hearing open this evening for further comments, and we'll be talking about if we were going to have another public hearing. This was an initial fact-finding mission. We wanted to hear from the public. We will go back to the code and discuss these comments and potentially make changes in the law based on these comments. Your point about a schedule is very well taken, and certainly I believe the board would probably consider grandfathering any, I'm speaking for myself now, grandfathering any existing to operate until the permit was approved. So there would be no shutdown of your existing operations. That's me speaking for myself.
That's very encouraging. Could you tell me who the code enforcement officer is and how long he has been in this position?
It is Jerry Davis, and he has been in the position since 2006, I believe.
Yeah, I think 2006. That sound right, Kate?
Yeah, 2006, I believe, is when he first began that position. We also have a new fire inspector, Will Farrell, who has started this summer on a part-time. He is our part-time fire and safety inspector.
You know, if it would also be helpful if these gentlemen or these offices would make it clear what they are looking for and what the criteria are for passing these inspections, so that owners and operators can prepare to make sure that they're in good shape. No surprises are advantageous.
Yep. Understood and noted. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, so for the board, I'd like to just sort of read into the record the comments we received. I'll start with the County Planning Board, which is a required referral. They have two. Somebody was unmuted here. They have two comments. Their first recommendation, and this is a required modification, is multifamily housing, multifamily prohibition. They say the proposed local law is silent on the use of multifamily as short-term rentals. The Ulster County Planning Board, as a policy, has recommended the conversion of multifamily housing for use as short-term rentals be a prohibited use, as it has an undue impact on the availability of more affordable housing choices on the community, especially if multiple. If not, the entire structure is converted to such use. We have seen instances elsewhere in the county where existing tenants have been priced out of their existing rental in favor of the landlord using them for short-term rental purposes. This should be avoided. Excuse me 1 second. The second comment is on non-owner occupied units. They have issued a required modification for this. They say in an effort to maintain or increase the supply of available housing in the community, it's recommended a cap on new non-owner occupied short-term rentals be put into effect as part of the annual permit registration. In this way, once a cap has been set, no further reduction in the available housing stock for owner or renter occupied use occurs and continues to expand as development occurs. The town could consider a means of grandfathering already existing non-owner occupied short-term rentals under such cap. So those are their recommendations that we will have to discuss. The second required recommendation comes from the Town Planning Board, and they also included with us a markup of the proposed code that I emailed to everybody today. I'm not going to read through that. Some of it is grammatical, some of it is recommended changes, but their accompanying letter highlights some of their changes. They say, sorry, I grabbed the wrong page here. Per your request at our December 1st, 2020 workshop meeting, the TOR Planning Board discussed and reviewed the proposed local law 5 of 2020, adding to chapter 140 of the Code of the Town of Rochester, a new 140-26A section entitled Short-Term Transient Rentals. Planning Board voted unanimously to support the implementation of local law 5. We note the following items that merit further clarification and review within the proposed section 140-26A. The board felt that the purposes section could merit some greater detail as to the reasoning behind and pros cons of the new regulation law. We added sample text to the purpose section for your review. Number 2, there was board discussion as to the need for additional clarity in the definitions for applicants as to the permitting needs for rental of sole rooms or of an accessory structure like a guest house, to make it clear, and so that property owners do not try to evade permitting, that if a property owner rents on a short-term basis any part of an allowed rental structure dwelling unit, They need a permit for the whole dwelling unit. The legal official terminology is often confusing to the layperson versus house or studio, for example. Perhaps this could be addressed by repeating the 140 definition of a dwelling unit in the section's definitions. Number 3, excuse me. While the board realizes that the inspection permitting process includes a fire safety review, the board felt that somehow spelling this out in a redundant form for applicants in application process would be worthwhile, as improper use and maintenance of wood stoves and fireplaces by renters is dangerous and puts an inordinate, unnecessary burden on our limited fire, police, and EMS personnel. And they offer a suggestion in their markup. Number 4, the board suggests that some annotated one-pager cliff notes be added if feasible to the required posted house rules, stating that what is a burn ban and when during the year it is in place. And 2, relevant Town of Rochester noise, litter, trash, vehicles and traffic, etc. regulations. Enforcement will be a lot easier if there is no excuse, we didn't know, or XYZ. Finally, a final review of terminology should be done to ensure terminology verbiage consistency in the code. For example, local manager or local agent. Short-term transient rental unit or short-term rental unit or plain short-term rental. Make sure that there are no legal or conceptual loopholes. We further attached an edited copy of the draft local law, which includes some draft suggested language additions and or changes, and some minor grammatical punctuation changes. If any of all or all of our suggestions are unclear, we are here and available to explain our thinking. The adoption of a short-term transient rental law is a timely, if not overdue, implementation of the goals of the town's comprehensive plan. We look forward to collaborating with the town board to move forward with the new law. We also, and I do not have it here, we did receive a letter from our fire district previous to the announcement of this public hearing, where they outlined some of their concerns with short-term rentals. I will recirculate that letter to you. Then this letter was received from Deborah Medenbach to the town board. I have rented apartments on our property on Clay Hill Road for more than 35 years and have occasionally offered rooms through Airbnb during the summer. I have hosted journalists, composers, filmmakers, and many hikers who loved our proximity to Minnewaska and Mohonk. Though I don't currently host, I support it as a historical use that stretches back to the early 1800s boarding houses, the Gasley's Brick House, the bungalow colonies and campgrounds, motels, and resorts. I reviewed the following law regulating short-term rentals in the town and make the following comments. 1, this is onerous for people who rent out their spaces occasionally. Perhaps it should apply to properties that are intended for this use steadily or a percentage of the year. Getting together a floor plan and site plan, presenting all advertising plans, having site inspections, and getting listed with the county finance office is a lot for the occasional host. Number 2, posting house contact information in windows invites vandalism and break-ins. Thieves could easily target houses with those signs in the windows. Instead, the town and the 911 dispatcher could have a list of that information in a database. Number 3, how does this proposed law affect current regulations for bed and breakfasts requiring on-site family member manager? Would that requirement be dropped from your current B&B law that is by definition short-term rentals? Number 4, this is asking a lot of the code enforcement officer on an annual basis, maybe 3-year permits at a nominal fee. Number 5, most people don't know the size of their septic system or well capacity. If it's good enough for a family with occupants in each room, why should it be different for short-term guests? Eliminate the water septic paragraph. Number 6, why does the town have to have all the platforms the property might be advertised on? No other business has to submit its advertising plan to the town. Strike this or limit it to one typical site so the CEO can review what the public is being told about the property. Number 7, clarify section D short-term rental definition. It says a rental to one entity. Most STRs are rented to different people each weekend. It should be regarded as equal to B&Bs. Also clarify section F definition of rental units is that each guest in my house or one fee for my house that includes 3 guest rooms. Number 8, why are you eliminating camping, RVs, trailers, and other experiences? That knocks Tenter out of town. There's a whole group of Airstream fans who look for those on Airbnb, and I know of at least 3 in the town of Rochester. Here's an article about it, and she quotes the article. If people are seeking these experiences and a property owner has the room, why not? Eliminate section L, paragraph 5. Number 9, lastly, many offerings at Airbnb sites include paid extras like a local hike leader, yoga classes, a weekend of writing workshops, retreats, house concerts, or landscape painting. Currently, B&B regulations allow events. Why should it be different for STRs? Eliminate M sections G and I. What are you trying to prevent, and do current laws cover it? On the upside, I support the general intent to create a safe space for visitors that is not a burden on permanent residents. Having house rules, contact information, and safety inspections makes sense. The town law should be simple, sensible, and sustainable. Respectfully, Deb Medenbach. Moving on to the next letter from Alana Blum. To whom it may concern, I write in support of the proposed short-term rental code as drafted. In particular, I'm glad to see the incorporation of requirements regarding water and septic. I pose the following questions. I was wondering about is item L4, which is what is reasoning behind having the emergency contact info visible from the exterior entry of the rental unit? The proposed code requires property owners to provide a comprehensive list of all online and social media advertising platforms on which any given property is listed. Item 3B, will this information be available to the public or upon request by inquiring parties? For item 3F, with regards to the required floor plans and property plans, what is the level of precision prescribed? Are these documents meant to be generated by a land surveyor, engineer, architect, or the like? Can room floor plans be submitted as a hand sketch on grid paper, or must it be formally drafted to scale drawing? Alana Blum, Accord, New York. And the last written comment from Martha Erskine. Thank you. It says, I am looking forward to attending the public hearing tomorrow night regarding intransient rentals. The wording right now for this local law does not seem to include any language regarding regulating transient rentals of glamping sites, which is of particular concern to us as neighbors on both sides of our property rent out their land through Airbnb and Tenter. These commercial sites, they exist solely for the purpose of generating income for the property owners, do not offer running water, and for waste management have installed outhouses or a porta potty. Without water and septic, these facilities do not even seem to be eligible for a permit. Does that mean that such sites are not permitted, or that the sites are exempt from town oversight? Another way of phrasing this is, will these glamping site transient rental operations also be regulated by the town? It is our hope that the language of Local Law 5-2020 includes regulation of these types of overnight rental facilities. They are dwelling units offering sleeping rooms and thus would seem subject to these rules. The existence of these sites has increased traffic noise and a significant loss of privacy to neighboring residents, as they have created mini campgrounds adjacent to residences. Thank you for letting me know by reply email or by including this in the discussion tomorrow evening. Martha Erskine. Okay. That being said, for the town board, does anybody on the board want to say anything tonight to each other or back to the public? If not, I think as we said, we'll hold this public hearing open. We have 3 choices. We can hold it open for written comments only. We can hold it open to a specific date that we want to reconvene, or we can hold it open to a date to be determined, and we could discuss the comments we received tonight, potentially making some amendments to the code before we reconvene the public hearing. So those are our 3 choices. So I'm curious to hear what board members think.
Well, I think it would be valuable to leave the public hearing open. I feel like there might be some more comments that would come in. I also think a discussion among the board of these comments and maybe addressing some of the issues and questions in a public meeting would be really valuable.
Okay.
So I don't know how that fits in, but those are my thoughts.
Well, we could potentially do that at our December workshop meeting. We could at least dedicate a portion of time at that meeting to this discussion. There is no time frame of that we have to have this completed by. It's our own time frame. So I think probably that is a wise idea, is that we discuss what has been shared with us. There's a lot of good comments have come out tonight. We got some good input from the county and from our own planning board. I think we should sit down and discuss that and have Mary Lou with us too, and decide if we want to offer any changes and then reconvene the public hearing with a revised document. Mary Lou would advise us, obviously, if that needs re-referral to the county, if it means starting a new. Mary Lou, if we make adjustments to it while the public hearing is open, do we convene a new public hearing or do we just continue it?
No, you continue it if you can make changes and continue the public hearing
Okay,
with those changes. So what I would recommend is that you do exactly what Mike suggested, discuss the comments you have so far and any other written comments that might come in between now and the workshop meeting, and then decide whether you want to make any modifications, and then pick a date to hold a new public hearing, depending upon how long it will take to make those modifications.
right.
So you might, and have enough time for notice. So the new hearing may be sometime in January.
That wouldn't be a new hearing, Mary Lou, it would be a
Right, the
continuation.
continued, right, the continued hearing. Sorry. I meant with the new provisions.
Yeah, I think we got a lot of really good input tonight. It's some of the questions that I had in the draft that we did about how it would actually be put into practice. Some people either asked the same questions or, in my mind, maybe even answered some of the questions that I had with some of their comments, just speaking for myself. So I think unless anybody else on the board has any great misgivings about this, I'll make a motion that we continue the public hearing to be reconvened at a date to be determined. Do I have a second on that?
I'll second.
Okay. Is there any discussion on that matter?
I would just say that I would want to encourage the public to tune into our workshop meeting, because I think we'll address a lot of these issues there, and I think that it'd be really valuable.
And for the public too, all our meetings are available on YouTube. Our workshop meeting will not be a public comment meeting, so you won't be able to speak at it, but you will certainly be able to either call in and listen or watch it on YouTube. They also stay up on YouTube. They don't go away, so you can watch it at any time afterward that you feel like. And we will certainly post the required notice of the reconvening of the meeting. And if we do make changes, the new draft will be circulated. So I want to thank you to everybody who took their time tonight. I realize it was a little difficult with the Zoom. I think we all did pretty well with it. And thank you for your patience with us in this difficult time.
I'd also like to say thank you. I took a lot of notes and listened to everybody's feedback, and I'm looking forward to the workshop meeting.
Okay, so I have a motion, and Aaron seconded, or Adam seconded, whichever. So Kate, would you call a roll call vote, please? Oh, hang on, you're muted.
Councilwoman Anowen?
Aye.
Councilman Hagen DePew?
Aye.
Councilman Hewitt?
Aye.
Councilman Paddock?
Aye.
Supervisor Baden?
Aye. Okay, I'd ask.
Can I just give you a reminder that when you do determine the date, you have to go through another legal notice.
Correct.
Yep.
Yep.
okay? Because it's,
Because we're not setting a date.
right, because you're not setting a date
Yep,
now, so don't
Yep,
don't
we
let
will
that pass
post
you
legal
by.
notice and, is that, how many, what is that? Is that 10 days, Kate, or 7? Just so I keep
Uh,
it in mind.
10
It's-
days is zoning.
Okay, 10 days. So we'll have to get it in the excuse me, in the journal 2 weeks before whenever we hold the public hearing, since they come out, or unless we do it in the Freeman. So, and it will also be on our website.
Where will you announce the date of the workshop meeting?
The workshop meeting is the 29th. Is that correct? The
Yes.
Tuesday, the 29th of December. And that meeting is already set. It will be on our town website. The call in, the YouTube is always the same. The YouTube remains the same for all meetings.
Thank you.
Okay. Do I have that motion to adjourn then?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
I'll second.
Thank you all, and we'll see you all tomorrow night. We'll do the same thing again.
Thank you. Night.
Thanks.
Nice job, guys.
The same thing again with something different, so
With a
people